Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Cursed City painting tutorial, and today we are painting Watch Captain Halgrim. Yes, the captain of the Skeletons himself. Spoopy guy. So, what we are going to do is we're going to jump right in and start painting him. He's been primed in Grey Seer, and the colour we're going to be using first is Terradon Turquoise, and we're going to be using this for all of his black armour. Now if you look at his picture, it's the majority of the armour, aside from his kind of gorget type area. See? Mostly black. So, as I said, we're going to be using Terradon Turquoise. We're going to be using this all over all of those black armour panels. We'll start down here on the foot. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some black Templar. I'm going to paint over the top of that Terradon Turquoise. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to paint in some of this cloth fabric that we've got here. So it's this bit here, and this bit here. And the colour we're going to make is a roughly 3 parts Gryph Hound Orange to 1 part Gore-Grunta Fur. This is going to create a kind of orangey, browny kind of colour. You'll see it just now. Like this. Just like that. We want to get this all over all of these cloth details. And with that done, what we're now going to do is going to use some Cygor Brown. And this is going to be to paint in his leather belt. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to paint the inside of his cloak with a roughly 2 parts Gryph Charger Grey to 1 part Space Wolves Grey mix. And with that done, what we're then going to do is going to take that exact same mix again, 2 parts Gryph Charger Grey to 1 part Space Wolves Grey. And we're going to just shut them out of the way so it doesn't get weird focusing issues. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that exact same mix again over the cloak. With that done, it's still drying at the moment, but that's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to use some Shyish Purple. I'm going to use this to paint in the scabbard here of the knife, but also the outside of the cloak. Now, if you look at the pictures of it, it's kind of a sort of very deep pink. But what we're going to do is we're going to do Shyish Purple first, and then we're going to change the tone with some Volupus Pink. So, we take the Shyish Purple first. We just use this all over. what we want to try and avoid is it being too dark. If you're not confident enough to do this without it being a bit too dark, because Shyish Purple is a tricky thing to use, what you can do is just use a tiny bit of contrast medium just to improve the flow a little bit of that purple. And with that done, then what we do is we take some Volupus Pink and we paint this over the top of our Shyish Purple. As you can see, it immediately changes the tone. And with that done, we're now going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to paint in all of the bones. And with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to use some Black Templar. I'm going to use this in two different places. But firstly, I'm going to use it to paint in the grip of the dagger on his belt. Just like that. And we're also going to paint in the hair. And with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood. I'm going to use this again in two places. First, I'm going to use it for the haft of his weapon. And also for his eye patch. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Castellax Bronze. We're going to use this to paint in his armour. And the kind of, it's not really scale mail, but it sort of is. And with that done, we're then going to use a little bit of Retributor Armour to paint in the pommel and the hilt of the dagger. As well as the hilt of the sword. And with that done, what we're then going to do, we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. We're going to use this to paint in all of the silver details. So this is going to be areas like the tip of this dagger, his sword blade, and the halberd. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some Fyreslayer Flesh, and we're going to use this to shade all of our Castellax Bronze. And so with that done, what we then do is we're going to shade those silver details and the gold. What we're going to do is we're going to use Fyreslayer Flesh and Basilicanum Grey. We're going to use it slightly differently. So what we want to do is on the gold, we just want to, not that much Basilicanum Grey. Just want to add this Basilicanum Grey over the top of our Retributor Armour. like that. Perfect. And then what we also want to do on the silver, I'm going to demonstrate this up here on the halberd. So we want to use the Basilicanum Grey all over. Firstly, I've got way too much on here, so I need to just wash the brush and actually just over brush it again with a clean brush to just absorb a bunch of that excess like that. Anyway, now that we fixed that, we'll try it properly on this side. We'll take the Basilicanum Grey, shade this side as well. Like that. Then, what we want to do, whilst it's still wet, is take a little bit of Fyreslayer Flesh and just add it to the flats that aid. Like that. Similarly on the back, take a little bit of Fyreslayer Flesh, just add it again, just mop up a little bit of the excess like so. We want to repeat this process on the sword. So once again, take some Basilicanum Grey, we add it all over the blade, like that. Wash the brush, then grab that Fyreslayer Flesh and just add this in patches around the blade. With that shade applied, it's now time to add some highlights to the miniature, and we're going to start with all that black armour. Now the colour we're going to be using for this is Sybarite Green. And what we want to do, so you just want to very carefully pick out all of the sharp edges in the armour. Just like that. And with that done, what we're now going to do is going to take some Gauss Blaster Green. I'm going to add this as a little spot highlight. In just the sharpest areas. And corners. Of all of our armour. Just like that. And with that done, the armour is all finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to use some Pallid Witch Flesh to highlight all of his bones. And with that done, what we're then going to do is take some Administratum Grey and use this to highlight the sharp corners in his hair. And with that done, what we now want to do is take some Runelord Brass and highlight all of our Castellax Bronze. And with that done, what we then do is we take some Canoptek Alloy. We use this as a little spot highlight. And with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some Liberator Gold to highlight all of his gold details. And so with that done, the first thing we're going to do on highlighting all of our silver, which is what we're going to do next, should have led with that, is we're going to use some Iron Warriors. And we're going to use this to re-establish the shininess on the cutting edge of our blades. Just like that. So you've got that kind of rusted, pitted metal next to the kind of at least mildly sharp areas. And with that done, what we're now going to do is going to use some Iron Hand Steel to highlight all of the silver areas, so including that bit we just did with the Iron Warriors. Just pick out that blade edge layer like that, make it look nice and sharp, as well as all of the edges on the rest of those metallic details, just like that. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to use some Baneblade Brown. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our brown details, including the leather and the wooden haft of his halberd. And with that done, what we now want to do is we want to take some Karak Stone, just add little bits of highlight over the top of where we've added those Baneblade highlights, Baneblade Brown highlights on the staff, or haft, I should say. Just like that. So with that done, what we now want to do is we want to use some Lugganath Orange to just pick out the sharpest areas in all of our orange cloth. Just like that. And similarly to what we just did with the Lugganath Orange, we're going to take some Fenrisian Grey and use this to highlight the sharpest points on the inside of our cloak. It doesn't need much more than that because we want it to be nice and dark and moody. And the contrast has done a lot of work for us in terms of providing the darker and the lighter areas. And then next up we'll take a teeny amount of blue horror and just add this as our little spot highlight where we've added our Fenrisian Grey. Again, it really doesn't need a whole lot. And with that done, what we now want to do is we want to use some pink horror to highlight all of our purpley pink. So we've got this area here on the scabbard. And of course, we've got the cape itself. And so with that done, Watch Captain Halgrim is now finished. His purple cloak doesn't need any more highlights than that, because again, we want this to be nice and dark and foreboding and kind of spooky in a way. Whereas if we put too many kind of spot highlights and things on it, it'll start to look clean and depth and rich. And we don't want that. We want Watch Captain Halgrim to be quite, well, quite dark, because, you know, he's dead. So what we're going to do now is we're going to paint in the base. Now I've covered most of this already in Jelson and Captain Melder Braskov, but the colour we are using first is Basilicanum Grey, and we're using this all over the stone. We've already used Skeleton Horde on the skull. And then next up we use Wyldwood to colour in all of these vines. With that done, we then finish off the base in the same style as the rest of our set. Now, as I said, I've already covered this in how to paint Jelson Darek, how to paint Captain Imelda Braskov. So if you'd like to see how to do this section, do just go and check out those videos. But alternatively, you can absolutely do this in the same scheme as the rest of your cursed city. You don't need my permission to do it however you want it. And so, Watch Captain Halgrim is now complete, ready to lead the remnants of the City Watch, the Ulfen Watch as they are commonly known, to do his master's dark bidding in defense of the city. It was a lot of fun to do. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but it was a lot of fun painting a skeleton. And they're just one of those miniatures that you hear about in the community, kind of like ghouls, where it's like, I once had to paint 100 skeletons, and everyone goes, oh my god, that was amazing. But this was so much fun to do, I might even buy myself 100 skeletons so I can join the crew. And hopefully, at the end of it, be like, no, they were all as fun as Watch Captain Halgrim. Yeah, that's all I have left to say on the matter. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, like these legends and bosses that you can see on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.